Hello, Sassy Beauties. This is Katie and Happy New Year's, everybody. It's 2020. I can't believe it. This year, last year, has gone so fast and it's a New Year's already. So I'm like super pumped making this new video for the New Year's for all you beautiful ladies out there. So today's video, I'm going to talk about how to make a man miss you and think about you. But this is going to be a very unconventional video. If you think about how often you think about men, how often you obsess about them, wonder about them, wanting to understand them, it's probably a pretty big chunk of time. A lot of you won't want to admit that, but you're spending a couple of hours a day thinking about men, right? So one of the things I don't want to keep promoting is this constant focus on men, because that in itself is unhealthy. So this video is going to be all about you, beautiful girl. All about you. And that's really the only thing you have control over anyway. You can't control men. Sorry, I know that's tough to hear for a lot of you. You don't like to hear that. You want to know you can control men. You can gain some kind of power over them, some kind of advantage over men, to feel superior over men. A lot of you really secretly want that. I know you do. But the truth is, the harsh truth is, we cannot control men. We can only control ourselves. So this video will be no different. Let's focus on you. Let's focus on what you can actually control so you can actually get results in your life. A lot of women have this idea that they need to work for love. They need to work for men. They need to work for that attention, that acceptance, that love. And that is so toxic, ladies. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, you'll burn yourself out and you'll feel even worse about yourself and you'll never get anywhere. Love should be easy. I tell all of my clients this. Love should be easy. Men should be easy. To get love from a man should be easy. It should be as easy as the air that we breathe. Okay, it should just happen naturally. Here's an example I'd like you to think about. Imagine it is a cold winter's night. You see a cabin up ahead. You walk into the cabin, and in the corner of the cabin, there's a fireplace. A roaring fire is going, okay, spraying beautiful orange light across the room, and there's warmth coming from that fireplace. Most of us would just naturally gravitate towards the fireplace. We just make a beeline for it, right? Yeah. And you know what? The thing is with that fireplace, it is just nature. It's just beautiful the way it is. That fireplace or the roaring fire doesn't have to pretend to be something it isn't. It doesn't have to sing and dance and try to learn about people, to try to coax them and manipulate them to come over, to stand near it. People just do. Okay? And that's what I want you to really understand. If you consider that the roaring fire, a fire, which is a part of nature, has a spirit, right? It kind of, it moves, right? It animates and it has energy, okay? Sparks energy, it has a spirit. But it doesn't have a conscious mind, right? It doesn't think. It can't analyze. It can't be strategizing, can't be looking at people and thinking, okay, how can I get this person to do that? And what does this mean? And what does that mean? Okay, doesn't have a conscious mind to do that. And it's still beautiful. And because it doesn't have a mind to think, it can just be. It can just be. It can just roar. It can just be a fire. And it just is beautiful the way it is. Now consider people, on the other hand. We have a spirit as well. We have energy. We're creating energy. Whether we're asleep or awake, we have energy. We're generating energy. However, we do have a conscious mind. We think, we analyze. Okay, we create a lot of noise in our heads about what's going on around us. And often that noise, that voice, gets in the way of us just being able to be. Okay, but if you considered for a moment to just remove that, the conscious mind, just remove all the language and all the thoughts, right? And you just quiet down and you just sit there and you just you just be. That is beautiful, just like a roaring fire. Okay, that's what I want you to embody. Okay, that's why I want you to consider that you have value. You have intrinsic value. And I know as women in society in 2020, that is the challenge. Okay, how do you be a person in a world that's very hierarchical, right? We're all like, we need to slot in somewhere. We have to be in a certain position in society, right? There is the, you know, the lowest ranking to the highest ranking, and we all kind of fall somewhere in the middle there. How can you live in a society like this and still appreciate our intrinsic worth without having to go out there and do a bunch of stuff? That is the challenge of being a woman or a man, actually, in today's society. And the biggest tragedy is when women forget this and they think they have to go out and do a bunch of stuff. They have to do stuff. They have to work for that love. They have to work to feel their worth. That's the greatest tragedy. And I want to be a reminder that that's not how it works. You're going about it the hard way. You're going about it the long way. So with that said, the first thing we must do to make a man miss us is to really remember, okay, really remember our inner worth, okay, our inner value. Really love ourselves, okay, deeply, deeply love our soul and our spirit. That's challenging, but it can be done. And one of the things that plays into really loving ourselves and our spirit is having a deep understanding of who we are. So one of the things that you should really pay attention to is your own relationship pattern. So when women become stressed, we get hyper sensitive about details. Okay, we become very detail oriented and we tend to narrow our focus. So it's like looking at a photo, right, on your computer screen, and it's like blowing that photo up. So you're zoomed right in to the freckles and the pimples, you know, if you're looking at a face, you zoom so close to the details, you lose the bigger picture. That's what happens with women when we become stressed. So if you start to notice yourself going, okay, it's 12:30, you know, it's lunchtime, and my man still hasn't messaged me, and he usually has lunch between 12 and 1, and he usually knocks off work from 6, so he should be free between 12 and 1 and 6 to 10. So what is he doing? Why is he not messaging me? What's going on? If you start to notice that, first of all, realize, okay, why do we even notice the time? Why are you like nitpicking about the time? Or if you start to notice, okay, tonight he didn't end the message with I love you like he normally does. Something must be wrong. Okay, he is a little bit shorter today than he was yesterday. He said 5 words less than he said yesterday. You know, if you start to do that, and you start to count the time, count the words, and you start nitpicking about the words someone uses, you know, super detail oriented, that's a clue. Okay, first of all, you're stressed about something. Okay, you're unhappy about something. It's really important you know that. That's not about him. It's nothing to do with him. It's within you and your emotions and your emotional being. Something is not right. There's an upset. Okay, there's an imbalance there. Okay, it's really important you know this and you pay attention to that. Don't do the knee-jerk thing that just about every woman does and say, oh, it's him, okay? I have to fix him. I have to change him. I need to do more, whatever, right? We think automatically okay, he's not doing XYZ. How do I get him to do XYZ? No. Stop, slow down, and look inward here. Okay, what's going on? Why am I stressed? First, notice you're stressed. Okay, if you start to nitpick about little things, you're stressed about something. The second thing is don't go to him. Okay, like I said, a lot of us women, we have that knee-jerk reaction. Soon as we feel stressed, maybe you don't even feel stressed, you just think it's him, right? You immediately point the finger at him. We go directly to him. We go directly to the guy, and we send him a message. Okay, we ask him a question. We ask for confirmation. We ask for approval. We ask for something. And there is a whole myriad of creative ways that women seek attention. Okay, you can do all kinds of ways. You can be loving, you can be sweet, you can be funny, you can be bitchy, you can be slightly cold and distant, right? But what it all comes down to is you're trying to do something, a tactic, right? To get his attention, to get him to respond, to get him to say something to you. We need to stop doing that. That is what you need to stop doing, because in that moment, you may get that response, right? You're training him that you're training yourself and him that you're actually becoming emotionally dependent on him. Because what is really going on underneath the surface is you're saying, I don't know how to deal with my inner world, my inner emotional world. So I'm going to go to him to get him to solve my problem, to get him to give me a little bit of attention. You know, if only he told me he loved me, he missed me, he will take me out for ice cream, you know, he'll reassure me, then I feel better. And a lot of women fall into that trap of becoming dependent on their man to fix their emotional world. It's sneaky, it sneaks up on you because it works the first couple of times and you're like, yes. And then you get addicted. You get addicted, it becomes a habit, a pattern, okay? And you buy into that. And that creates a negative cycle, okay? It may in the short term gain a little bit of positive reward, but in the long run, you know what happens in the long run? It starts to drain him, starts to drain a guy. He starts to get annoyed, you know? This is when a guy says to you, look, stop annoying me, stop doing this or we're gonna break up, okay? Stop acting needy and clingy, okay? You're acting like a bitch, right? You're acting emotional. I can't handle this, you know? And then they pull away. He starts to rebel, right? Maybe it worked the first couple of times and he reassured you, but after a while, it starts to go against you. Right, it turns against you, and now he starts to rebel and say, if you keep doing this, we're not going to have a relationship. Keep doing this, that's why I'm pulling away from you. If you keep doing this, that's why I don't want to commit to you. And that's because you're making him responsible for your emotions. Okay, emotions you have completely neglected because your default was to go to him to solve it instead of going into your inner world to fix it. Okay, don't make him your emotional parent, right? To, you know, have to change your emotional nappies for you, right? We have to learn to change our own nappies, right? We wipe our own ass and flush our own shit away, right? That is becoming an emotional adult. The third thing is to get to the root of the problem, okay? This is really important. You recognize when you're stressed. You don't go to him immediately, and then you go to the source of the problem. The source of the problem is what is really the problem. And this requires a bit of introspection. This requires you sitting down with yourself, taking a moment or 2 or 5 or an hour to think, to feel, to be present with yourself and ask yourself the question, why am I stressed? What is making me stressed? What is making me unhappy? Okay, what is the problem? What is the real problem? And when you do this, what you're essentially doing is you're forcing yourself to step back. Okay, instead of being all zoomed in and focused in on the little details and pointing the finger at your man, you're gonna zoom back instead and look at the bigger picture. Okay, you're gonna ask, what in my life isn't working? What am I not happy about? And I know some of you will want to go to, what is wrong with me? Why do I keep doing this? All these questions that doesn't serve you. Okay, if you keep asking, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Why can't I get this? That doesn't get you anywhere. That's not productive. It's not productive to ask what is wrong with me, because you're only going to come up with a list of things that are wrong with you, and that will only make you feel worse. When we do go inward and ask those questions, be very, very kind and gentle and compassionate. Please, right? Don't blame yourself, beat yourself up, pull out every negative quality, negative trait, negative result you've ever had in your life. Once you get to the root of the problem and you do it correctly, so the outcome there should always be something positive. You know, a step forward, an action to take, something you can control and has nothing to do with trying to get a guy to do X, Y, and Z, but it's something in your life with you can control. That could be even just taking a bath and relaxing for a night. That makes you feel good, right? So that's how you know you're on the right path. If you do something that was productive for you, that was helpful for you, and it made you feel good, made you feel a lot better than you did when you started the exercise, then you know you're doing the right thing. And then lastly, the natural result, the natural byproduct of doing these steps is your man will naturally call you, contact you, show you he cares. Okay, provided he does care. But here's the thing, if he doesn't care, then all of these steps that I have just said will still serve you. They'll serve you a lot more than 10 manipulative steps on how to get him to, in the moment, temporarily give you a message back or show you a bit of interest, but in the long run does absolutely nothing for you. So that is my video for 2020, the first video of 2020. So hope you've enjoyed it. Once again, take care of yourself. Okay, you are the most important thing in your world. Don't forget that, okay? Embody that spirit, that soul, and just love that thing. Love that thing to death. All right, I'll talk to you real soon, ladies. If you like this video, please like me, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and I'll be back with another video next week. Bye.